happened yesterday. LeBron James was back after being out for a month, kept getting his condition upgraded, and look at everybody wants to get that for the gram. The fans taking their phones out. A couple of minutes later, LeBron blowing by his defender for a layup. First bucket of the game, playing the Bulls, but down 12. LeBron half spin fadeaway over Alex Caruso. Played 13 minutes, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists in the first half. And now we go on to the fourth. Austin Reeves to LeBron on the break, finishing with the layup. Said he worked out as much as 3 times a day trying to get back. DeMar DeRozan to Zach LaVine, though, knocking down the deep three. This was not the Lakers' day. Zach had 32 points in this one. Pat Bev, all he wanted to do was beat his former team, right? Holding his nose. Lakers stink. That's typical Pat Bev there as the Bulls win 118-108. And Vince Carter is back with us in just a moment. Here is what LeBron had to say.
Obviously, the rhythm is the most important. I had a couple, drives and the ball got away from me. A couple shots didn't feel as good as before, obviously, but I was out for 4 weeks, so between that and the win, just got to get those things back leading into the final stretch of the season.
All right, so we like to play a little game called Convinced with Vince Carter. So, listen, they needed that game last night. They did not look good, and Anthony Davis actually injured his pointer finger. You didn't see that in the highlights, but anytime he gets injured, that's really scary. Are you convinced that this is a play-in team or a top 6 team, or that they're going to miss the playoffs altogether? Which one are you convinced of?
Hannah, I am convinced that the Lakers are a play-in team. I'm truly convinced, because once LeBron James gets his win back and gets his legs up under him, they'll be fine. They have a guy who can take over a game at any point. But one thing that needs to happen for that to come to fruition, they need Anthony Davis to have more than 8 touches, regardless of if LeBron James in the lineup or not. He can't play the game and only have 8 touches with 6 free throws and playing 6 free throw attempts and playing 36 minutes or so. That just can't happen for them to win. You can't afford just to give games away when you're fighting to hold on to a play-in spot. Yes, they could possibly get to a 6 seed with a couple of wins in a row, but if you're dropping games like this, regardless of if LeBron James is back, you do have a healthy or 80% to 90% healthy Anthony Davis. He has to get touches for that to happen. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a big caveat, right? So you're only sort of convinced,
yes,
right there. You're convinced with, yes,
I'm
conditions.
Convinced. Yes.
All right, they have 7 games left, Vince. A whole bunch of them coming up on the road, but the 5th easiest remaining schedule. Thanks, my friend. Kels?
Hannah still ahead on SportsCenter. What's the word on Lamar James?
Kelsey, did anything happen within the last hour?
Maybe 1 or 2 big things.
Yeah, we're going to focus on that. Tons of reaction on the breaking news. Lamar Jackson, once again, taking control of the narrative, tweeting this morning that he asked the Ravens for a trade back on March 2nd.
So, of course, that put all eyes on Ravens head coach John Harbaugh at this morning's NFL annual meeting. What he said when asked about Lamar's tweet, and what does all this mean for Jackson's future? It's going to be a fun one. SportsCenter right now.
Yeah, let's go.
This is SportsCenter.
And Aaron Rodgers still expected to make that Lambeau leap out of Green Bay. What's the sticking point for a deal with the Jets? We're going to hear from their head coach, Robert Saleh. Also, we're going to hear from Mike McDaniel, an update on Tua as the Dolphins look to make waves in the AFC East. And the King returns for LA. Lakers look terrible. How much danger are they in of actually missing the postseason?
And we're going to Dallas, baby.
Because I went to LeBron James' feet, and he told me I shouldn't.
We start SportsCenter with that breaking news from Lamar Jackson. In a series of 3 tweets, he shared this message addressed to his fans, saying in part, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization for which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that's met me or been around me know I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You are all great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for me and my family. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of the Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again. Now, that tweet came out as Ravens head coach John Harbaugh was set to speak to the media at the league's meetings. Here's the interaction as he was asked about Lamar's trade request.
I haven't seen the tweet. It's an ongoing process. I'm following it very closely, just like everybody else is here, and looking forward to a resolution. I'm excited, thinking about Lamar all the time, thinking about him as our quarterback. We're building our offense around that idea, and I'm just looking forward to getting back to football. I'm confident that's going to happen.
Do you anticipate him being your quarterback in week 1?
I do. You know, you gotta plan for all the contingencies for sure, but I'm pretty fired up about Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a great player.
So you're following him on Twitter and seeing all the posts? And stuff?
No, I don't live in that world, Jerry. You know, I'm not a real Twitter guy. You want it done already, but it's just not always possible. I mean, this is the real world. This is big time pro sports at the highest level, and contracts are important and they matter to both sides. The thing that I love about the situation, I believe, is that in the end you got good people, you know, working together. I mean, we've been with Lamar. You know, I've been with Lamar as a coach, and players and coaches and all of us in the organization have been together for 5 years now. You know, we've been through some crazy things, some amazing moments, some tough moments, challenges, ups and downs together. You know, we've hugged in the locker room after wins. We've hugged in the locker room after losses. You know, those are things that last forever. Those relationships never change. So this is part of it. You know, it's part of the story that's being written, and everybody's writing the story. But I just appreciate that it's been handled with class. Lamar's handled it with class. Lamar's under contract, and that's the guy that's the guy I want to see be our quarterback. You know, that's my guy.
Okay, so NFL reporter Jeff Darlington joins us now live at the annual league meetings in Phoenix, where we just heard that from John Harbaugh. And Jeff, you were there when he was asked about the tweet.
Yes.
And that he had requested a trade. So first of all, tell us, what was that reaction like?
Yes, some timing to the context of this situation is incredibly important, because when he says that he hadn't seen the tweet yet, he is not lying. He couldn't have seen the tweet. Very literally, let me paint this picture for you. There's basically this annual breakfast where all the coaches go into the room, they sit around the table, and in this case, there was 24 reporters with 3 cameras all on Harbaugh. Harbaugh takes his seat, and literally at that moment, Lamar Jackson sends out the tweet publicly saying that he requested a trade 3 weeks ago. So very clearly here, either the greatest coincidence in the world, or Lamar Jackson was tipped off and knew exactly when Harbaugh was sitting down. This shows you right now where we stand with this trade request, that it's not pretty anymore, that this is not simple, that this is hard business no matter what Jim Harbaugh wants to say. He did his best to paint a picture of an amicable situation, but very clearly, based on the timing of this tweet at that very moment, this now moves to a very different level with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
So, Jeff, that timeline is really important, but so is this, because Lamar says he requested the trade on March 2nd. The Ravens, of course, gave him the non-exclusive franchise tag on the deadline.
Correct.
5 days later on March 7th. So, in theory, they already had the knowledge of this, that he wanted out of Baltimore. So what more can you tell us about how that influenced their decision to use the non-exclusive tag?
Well, with the non-exclusive tag, we should point out that 31 other teams can offer 2 first-round picks and a contract that then the Ravens would have the opportunity to match. So technically, a team could already trade for Lamar Jackson without even really asking the Ravens. What this tells you is that Lamar Jackson doesn't want to go through that part of the process, that he simply wants out of Baltimore. He feels like the negotiations have gone long enough, that he's not going to get what he wants there. And by the way, we should also point out, this also suggests, I've talked to a number of GMs throughout the league that say one of their fears with offering a contract to Lamar Jackson is that the Ravens can simply match. If in fact Lamar Jackson can convince the Ravens, don't match the deal, let's just get a trade, send me out of here, maybe that does take this to a different level. This is all very complicated, but Lamar Jackson, very clearly, based on today, is now playing chess, not checkers.
And of course, doing it without an agent, that's a big part of the story as well, as he does not have an agent in this whole process. You mentioned some of the fears for some of these other teams and GMs and owners. What are you hearing at this point? Is there interest from other teams? Has anybody reached out to Lamar?
Well, there hasn't been yet. Quite frankly, we know that because no team has put in an offer sheet, and that's what you do with the non-exclusive tag. Now, again, it could change now that a team could say, hey, we'll give you these picks, but we're not also going to allow you to match that offer. Maybe that changes for a team like Indianapolis, for instance, who today at the league meetings here didn't necessarily say no in their interest for Lamar Jackson. So a team like that, we don't have to go through the whole landscape. We kind of know where quarterbacks stand right now. But I will say that this should change perhaps the conversations between those teams